At 9 o'clock, welcome to the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters and powered by POKERBET South Africa, the first legal poker platform in the country. And I got to tell you, if my eyes look a little bit heavy tonight, I think I've had the account for just over a week and I've played every single night. In fact, I'm missing my regular 9 o'clock tournament. But the good news is I've been buying in late at about 10, quarter past 10, and I will be playing that after this. So really loving the platform. If you do want to check it out, there's a link down below. And we've also got some great prizes to put up tonight. But let's introduce the guests. I'm going to start off on the top right of my screen at any rate. That's the Oracle himself, Gavin Cohen. Chris and I had a few nervous moments when we went over. He said we couldn't hear if he said he was in the shower or eating, but he had his camera off, thank heavens. Gav, it's good to see you, mate. You're looking fresh, well, and ready to fire.
Yes, very fresh, thank you. I'm ready to fire. What did my mate Paris always used to say at the start of a racing day? He'd say, load the cannon and get ready to fire. So yes, ready to fire. The cannon's loaded. All good. I'm happy. And I did put the camera off because watching me eat is not great. So I did you a favor. I didn't do you a disfavor.
I appreciate that. And welcome to Mark Dunphy. Mark, are you in Ireland still? Are you in Vietnam now? But I just want to shout out to Mark. He's unfortunately not eligible for the voucher prizes being overseas. And I think he won. He was the first with the one trivia question last week. And he actually got closest to the score in the Ireland game as well. So well done, Mark. Thanks for playing. And a pity you couldn't win the prizes, but we'll certainly buy a few beers when you're here in South Africa.
Yeah, now let's Brent, I've got a thing with that. I've worked at companies. You can't win this because you work there. Why don't you have a prize or something for the guys that are not allowed to win the main one? I don't know, something. Just, if the guy gets it right, give him something. Doesn't matter. In other words, where I'm going with this is don't take away a prize from the legitimate winner. If somebody else had a little bit of an advantage, he's in the race with the other people that had a legitimate advantage and let them race against each other for a smaller prize. Why not?
That's it. I mean, the main challenge with getting prizes to people overseas is exactly that, getting it to them. But I agree with you. Let's give that a bit of thought and see what we can do. And Mark is coming
almost a team prize for the guy like us. So we working, so we're obviously not eligible for it, but chuck something out there for us. Why not?
Right. Well, let's
motivate us more. We're already motivated, but it doesn't matter.
Well, I'm finally going to get to introduce Chris. It's at the Crow Tips on Twitter. Chris, good to see you again, mate. We were just discussing before the show. Twitter's not what it was. I'm not seeing all of my regulars like yourself tweet these days. I've got to actually go and search for you. And I know, looking at my tweets, maybe I've just become unpopular, but I'm not getting the same action either. But good to have you on the show. And, looking forward to your views on the Six Nations.
Yeah, thanks, Brenty. Yeah, good to be back. I must admit the last couple of months, the end of the year was a bit tough. But, we're back into Six Nations. Love the Six Nations, internationals, Super Rugby soon. So I'm starting to feel the vibe again. Obviously, people know I had started a new job last year, so my focus wasn't that heavy. But now I'm back into it, loving it, and loving the Six Nations. Can't wait for Super Rugby, heading towards the World Cup. What a treat!
Well, JP Deploy saying loving POKERBET, and JP, I know you were one of the winners last week. Give me your username, mate. I'm the Falcon on POKERBET. The chances are we've met each other in a couple of tournaments already, so let me know how that's going. Gents, what I want to start off with is a quick look, though, at the outright betting. But first to mention that you are both going to be asking 2 trivia questions on the show. We got 4 500 POKERBET vouchers up for grabs. It'll be first correct answer in the live chat and the first eligible answer, I guess, at the end of the day. Mark, you're welcome to play. We'll get into that in just a sec, but I just want to touch on the outright betting for the Six Nations. And what I've done is I brought up the current price. So Ireland 11 to 20, and there's last week's price. They were 25 to 20. So we can see Ireland have obviously shortened after their very good victory over Wales. France have gone out a bit. They beat Italy, but they were far from impressive. So they've gone out from 90 to 10 to 5 to 2. Scotland, the big movers, in from 20 to 1 to 7 to 1. England, big drift. They're 4 times the price now at 16 to 1. Wales, they're 66 from 11s. And Italy, even though they performed well last week, you can get the same price about them at 500 to 1. And Chris, I'll start with you. Anything stand out from you on the outright front at the moment? Do you think the betting's right, or is there valuing going for potentially a France at 5 to 2?
Yeah, well, absolutely France. I'm actually quite surprised by that price. So that's definitely value there. I mean, this is probably still the decider this weekend, probably. I still think there are upsets along the way, but I know everyone's going to pump on Ireland and everyone's back in Ireland and probably Ireland win at home. But if you got this price, I think if France win, on Saturday. I think they go through and win the tournament anyway. So I like that price. I'm not sure if I was on France last Six Nations. I was really happy with the fixtures, but I'm not going to touch it just because we didn't see the real Wales in England on the first game, and I think they've still got a big part to play in this. And I think this Scotland's an overreaction. We need to see Scotland put at least 3 games together, not even 2. So let's see. But I like France. If you are going to go outright, I like France definitely.
France a bit of value there at 5-2. Let's bring the Oracle in there. Is that a bit of a shake of the head or a nod of the head? I think it was a shake.
Yeah. So you know what my problem here, Brent, is this 5-2 is. I mean, I know I'm slightly out, but really just slightly. This is their price to win the World Cup, and I'm going. Hang on a second. This team's not going to win the Six Nations. They're not going to win the World Cup. Yes, they can. Sorry, not that they're not going to win. The price is crazy. I want 8-1 France. I want 10-1 France. I don't want 5-2. And last week, 19-10. I didn't even touch it. I had a little bit of the Irish to win the World Cup. I'm not taking 12-10 about Ireland to win the tournament. I expect them to win, but the value's not there. Right now, never mind 20-1. I'm going to tell you 7-1 about Scotland. That's value. You want to have a punt here with something to go for that will give you a very little risk on your money. I mean, there's obviously a risk on every bet, but 7 times your money here. I'm sorry. I'm on Scotland. I saw that, not a meme. It was a video going around this week. The Scottish accent has changed quite a bit because they interviewed that South African lad that scored a couple of tries. That was fantastic. But the reality is, of course, they can win. It takes me back to a few years ago when I got the double Scotland to beat England on the same day as the Bulls beat the Hurricanes in the opening game of Super Rugby. It was beautiful. It was one of my biggest days punting. I think I made 40 or 50 grand that day. It was unbelievable. So. Yeah, listen, Scotland beating England. I didn't have any Six Nations bets on this last weekend, but that's a game I would have gone for. I would have lost on the Sharks game, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. I just think that 11-20 Ireland is probably correctly priced, but it is below my line of 7-10, so I won't take that. Not interested in France at 5-2. I think that's a crazy price because Ireland are at home. So we've also got to look at, are they going to be 5-2 to beat Ireland? No, they're not. However, they've still got to win every other game to win it. So I think this is Ireland's tournament. If you want to make the most out of Ireland's dominance in this Six Nations, which I think is going to happen, is back them to win the World Cup. Don't back them to win this tournament. They've almost already won it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this Saturday.
Sorry, I just want to say one other thing. I'm heavy, and I'm going to use Brendan O'Connell coil patches. I'm going to use one of his terminologies that he uses quite a bit. I'm going to chuck a piece of silver. I'm going to tell the bookmakers here, I'd like to chuck a bit of silver down at Italy. They gave France a good go, but at 500-1, I'm sorry, there's a digit missing. I'm not sure if it's on the left or if it's on the right, but there's a digit missing here. 500-1, I'm sorry, is not good enough for me. They've never won this tournament. I don't even think they've finished third. It's an insult. Give us a proper price, and maybe you'll fill up your book with some Italy money. And I'm happy to chuck it, but at 3 digits, you don't have my business.
Right. Thanks for convincing us that Italy are not going to win the World Cup there, Gav. Let's go to the trivia question, Chris. So this is available for the guys in the live chat. Chris, I'm going to go to you for the first trivia question. Just ask the question and we'll let the guys answer. We'll come back in a little while and see it. What have you got for us?
Yeah, so first one. So Italy last year beat Wales, which came to the end of the longest Six Nations losing streak ever. So how many games was that losing streak for Italy before they beat Wales last year?
Okay, excellent. We'll have a look at some of the answers later, and we'll say closest wins in case we don't get a winner. Gav, what's that?
No, I was going to say, I'm sure they beat them by 4 points, but I'm actually going a few years ago. So if you're talking about last year, then I'm out there.
No, they beat the guys for the last minute try. That was the end of the streak, this losing streak. How many games was that streak?
Right, we'll have a look. The answers are starting to come in, but gents, let's get into the first.
In years or games?
Games.
Sorry,
games.
Gav? Years.
Games.
Oh, games.
Years or games? Okay.
Yes. We'll get into the first game, and just we got Ireland -5.5 here against France. Chris, I'll start off with you on this one. A total points line 44.5. There's been a bit of movement. I had a look at the early market. It was -4.5 Ireland. It's come out to 5.5. One thing I'll tell you, you don't get value early in the week on the Six Nations handicaps because the bookies, everyone's very much aligned on the caps. So a slight movement here from what I've seen. There's definitely been more money for Ireland than for France. And we got 5.5 and a total points line of 44.5. What are you doing here?
Yeah, well, that's what I said. That's what I expected. The people will be all over Ireland, and yeah, I'm the opposite here, but just because I'm still standing by my sentiment that France are the team to beat. I mean, even though it's in Ireland, it doesn't mean they're not going to win. They've come there and won many times before, and yeah, if you want to go obviously last week's form, of course Ireland were amazing, but I mean, how good were Wales? I don't think we know. I mean, they were cold, came out cold. Ireland blew them away. It looks like Ireland kind of had won the game at half time. And France against Italy as well. France never get themselves up big time for Italy, and Italy always do for France. I was expecting that performance from France, even though people say, well, that wasn't good, but that's France. They're going to come to this game. And what I'm expecting, this is going to be one hell of a test match. It's going to be physical. It's going to be brutal. Perfect that we got Barnes on the whistle as well, so I think should make it into a really good game. That brings the points play into account. I'm not looking at the points because it could end up like a 17-15 type of game. But I like France because I can see France winning this game. So for me, I'll take that 6 or 5.5 all day. I like France 5.5. They're in this game. And if Ireland win well done to them. Another reason for this as well is France have come in with a stable team. They've had their knockout against Italy, come back with the same starting lineup, and Ireland have lost Furlong and, for me, big time Gibson Park. Murray is going to slow this game down and bring France right into it, I think. So for me, France and a half, thank you very much.
Right, nice, confident talk on the French. I must say, Chris, I'm leaning a little bit in your camp there as well. The only thing that worries me about France, they do have off days, and they certainly have been off, but if I go back to the end of last year, they just haven't looked at their best to me since last year's Six Nations. But I have a feeling that ultimately they are targeting this game, as are Ireland, of course.
Also another thing to consider is if France win the Grand Slam, they break the world record of winning wins. They've got a lot to play for. That's a lovely record to go for, right? So if they win as well, if they go carry on winning, I do worry about England at Twickenham. I don't know why something's bugging me that England are going to be up for that game. But they could go to the last game against Wales for the Grand Slam and to break New Zealand, and I think it's England's record? 18 games. So I think we were 17 and then they beat us by 18, I think. So I think it's 18. So yeah, France got a lot to play for. Ireland got a lot to prove. I think Furlong and Gibson Park is a big players to miss for this.
You don't miss one thing for sure. You don't want to miss this test match. France. Yeah. And you're going France 1-12. Then that's the exact opposite of what Chris Sturdy's gone, because he's got Ireland 1-12 in the Good for the Game preview at 14-10. But let's get the Oracle in on this one. Oracle, are we going for the underdog on the board here, or do you think Ireland are the business?
No, I sort of suggested that with my outright play. I think this France won. What did they win last year? 13 games. I think they won 13 games. This game in Ireland, yes, the history's on their side, the stadium's on their side. I just don't like them, eh? I don't know. I just think there's value here with Ireland. I'm not even going to go for -5. I'm going that 1-12 we just heard a moment ago. I'm going the 13 plus. I'm going -12.5 here. I think Ireland win this game comfortably. I really do. And if they win, if Ireland score 18 points, I'm suggesting France don't even score a point. Maybe a 3-point penalty. I think France are going to be done properly here. And that I grabbed some 7-1 Ireland and 7-1 South Africa last year to win the World Cup. I think those are the only two teams that can win this World Cup. The only two teams that had value. I think we had a show about that a while ago. I'm on South Africa and Ireland, and I think Ireland are the business, and they've never won this World Cup before. This is their year. They're going to show everybody who they are now. They'll get the Grand Slam here. They'll win every game, and I think they'll win every game comfortably. So I wouldn't even bother with a 9-10 here. Pick another number higher than 7 or 8. Go for your 2-1s or bigger. I'm going 13 plus here.
Right, big confident call by Oracle. So the boys are really going against each other in this opening game. Chris, let's go back to your question there. How many games in a row had Italy lost before they beat Wales?
It was 32.
32. The first correct answer was Johan Estes. And so, Johan, you can drop me an email, Brent, at goodforthegame.co.za, and we'll arrange your voucher for you. I'm still, by the way, I haven't heard from all the guys who won last week. So the guy likes the Faried and Peter Paul. I have put something up at the top of the comments. Guys, send me an email and we'll arrange your vouchers for you there, right? That's the Ireland French game. Just one. Yeah, let me just have a look here. Let's go to the next game now, and then we'll. But before we do that, Gav, let's go to you for the second trivia question. What have you got for us? Make this the not so difficult one.
This is a fantastic one, eh? I love this, and I didn't even know it was. I didn't even know until this week. Anyway, the question is, I'm not going to give away too much here. So we've got time in the show. We've got a bit of time. So Kepler Vessels did something 35 years ago that only the second person has done this week. So if you've been watching cricket this week, you'll know the answer. Kepler Vessels had this, I wouldn't even call it a record, but he had a stat that got a second person on the list this week. So it's a cricket question. So if you've been watching cricket this week, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and you'll get the answer.
Okay, let's see what the boys come up with. And Oracle will give you first crack at the next game. Scotland up against Wales, the handicap.
Sorry, Brent, I got that number. It's 36 was the losing the number. Sorry, I thought I got my numbers wrong.
It was 36.
Yeah, apologize. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah,
Chad Matthews has already answered it. First guy got it. Chad Matthews. So this Gary Balance, Gary Balance scored a century for Zimbabwe this week against the West Indies. In fact, it was on Tuesday. And I find out it's the second time that someone scored a century for two countries. So, a very interesting stat. And the last time it was achieved was Kepler Vessels in the 80s or early 90s. So, very interesting. Well done, Chad.
Well, so, Chad, email me, Brent at goodforthegame.co.za. I'll arrange your voucher. Johan, I tell you what, we'll see how you go the rest of the show. I'm sure I'll organize you something if you don't get anything. But just to confirm that,
I just want to check with Chad if he knew that or if he Googled it. That's all I want to know. You still get the prize. I just want to. I'm very interested to know if you actually knew that or you had to Google it.
Okay, 100%. Chad, you can let us know that one. And Dylan Hilda, well done. You won the. You said it was 36, eh, Chris? Just to confirm,
that's right,
36. Okay, 100%. Right.
They lost all the ones up until that tournament, which was 32, and then the last one made it 36. That's why it's 36. So I apologize.
Right, and now we got Oracle Scotland -6.5 against Wales. We've got a total points line here of 43.5. A bit of money for the Scots, open -5.5. So also edged out a point.
Yeah, Brent, same story here. I think this is a big win for Scotland. And I know that big wins in Six Nations don't really happen. When I say a big win, this is a double-digit win here, 10, 12, 15. Wales have not impressed me, going right back to when they played here in South Africa. They fiddled around. They haven't found it yet. The Welsh teams in the URC haven't performed for me. I mean, when I saw the passion in that Scottish team, this is a home game for them. They should nail this, and it's a double digit for me. 2-try win. If it goes into the 20s, I'll be very surprised. But I do expect a 10 to 15 point win here for Scotland. And I can't see Wales even getting close. Sure, they might get the first couple of penalties, lead 3 or 6-0, but they'll be well beaten at the end of the game.
Right, interesting theory that I must admit. I'm looking at the form in this game, and I'm battling to make a case for Wales, also leaning towards Scotland here. But let's see. I see a smile on at the Crow Tips' face there. Does that mean he's opposing the Oracle again?
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, right? So we're back on form.
Look, if you oppose the Oracle every week of your life, you're quite a wealthy man, I must tell you.
Yeah. Well, look,
and you'll be on the show far more often.
So yeah, look, I totally agree with Oracle's sentiment. I agree. If you look, but I'm starting with that. Like, for me, you can make a case for both. Definitely, I think that Scottish performance was brilliant. If you go on that form, it looks like they know that they need to win this game. I have no doubt. I think pretty much no doubt they'll win this game. For me, it's about how much. For me, Scotland still, like I said, they don't put back-to-back performances together. They haven't. They don't. And I need to see that first before I'm going to go out the blocks and say they blow Wales away. Because if you go then to make the case for Wales as well, if you want to go on stats and matchups, Wales come to the party against Scotland as well. It's like Ireland always are pretty comfortable against Wales. Scotland pretty much against Wales against Scotland. So it's one of those matchups. And I must admit, I thought Wales would be better last week, and it's for me that last week's game is very hard to judge the form because we saw two halves. I don't really know where these teams are, but I still think I see a rise in the Welsh performance and maybe a dip in the Scottish performance, and I can see that Six Nations game. Wales are proud. Look, they are bad. Let's admit they haven't showed a lot, but they've kept the same team. I like it. They brought in Tommy Riffle, who for me is very key for them, very, very key. So I think you're going to see a different matchup there. They got this guy, Trunina. I think he plays for Exeter. Every time I've seen him play, he's been a beast. So I think now that loose trio, him, Rafael, and Morgan at 8, I think it's Morgan, in for Wyn Jones, who had to go out. I think that looks like a more abrasive pack. And I think they're going to be good. I think 6. I thought I capped it even lower than 6. I thought it would be 3-4. I know it's controversial. It was at 8, and I see money's come for Wales. So that's kind of what I've been thinking. So I'm happy. I'm saying Wales on the cap +6, but I actually do really prefer the points. This 43 line is low for me. I think both these teams, Wales are shoddy in defence. Scotland they're both going to go all out. Love Scottish team when they have Finn Russell and Hugh Jones make a massive difference. They're always giving opportunities. I can see the weather in the UK is pretty set fair. These pitches on these international grounds are great. I think 43 is too low. I'm reading at the moment like a 27-24 type of scoreline. So I like, for me, the plus Wales is like a medium, low to medium, and over 44 is a higher medium to bigger confident punt there. Also, you can get Wales to score 2 tries at like 1.7. I think that's worth looking into. I think they can score 2 tries in this game for sure. I think it's going to be an open. I think they're both going to go all out. I think Scotland can get nervous and bring Wales into the game. Also, like I said, if I like the points, both teams to score over 20, which is that scoreline I spoke about, you can get like 2.7. I see value there in both teams scoring 20. I do see them having a go at each other and some points coming. 43 is low. If I see anything like 47 low, I'm interested, but I think 43 for this game is too low.
It's one of those quotes that really suck you in. I must admit, I was looking at it as well. I'm probably going to focus, and I haven't looked at it. Unfortunately, my normal monitor here is giving a few problems, but I would say that Scotland points will be around 25.5 there. I do fancy the Scots in this one, and that's the way I'll be going. Anything else to add on this game, Gav?
Yeah, I was going to say 25-18 is based on the handicap. And I would rather go over 25.5 Scotland than I would go over 43 total. I just don't see Wales scoring 18 points. So, yeah, that's my view at it. I haven't had a bet on that. I'm unlikely to. Maybe, not definitely not. But, yeah, I sort of hear your thinking. But a lot of the time I've gone over a score in the game only to see my team beat their score and the other one not. And I lose the bet on the 40 in this example, say it gets 40 or 39, but my team scored 30 of them or 29. And I get a bit irritated because I think, hang on, I was expecting this team to win comfortably, and they have won comfortably, but they didn't get the total score that the bookmakers had set out. So I prefer going over on the individual team that I like. That's just the way I do it when I have this kind of bet.
Yeah,
fair enough. I like that as well. Yeah.
So in Chris's case, I mean, if he came to me and said, "What do I do here?" I said, "Well, what do you like?" I like Wales. I want to go over 18.5. Don't go over the total. You're more in control with the way you've studied the game for your bet. And yes, you obviously could win on the 43, but you're more likely to, if you get the game right, to win over the 18. That's just how I look at it.
I tend to look at that as well.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid of the total this week because like last week the lines were close to this as well. We saw 2 games over 50 in the Ireland game today. You're right. it was around this about 44, the Irish game, but Wales scored no points. That you're right. The risk here is the Welsh points, really. But I'm just expecting a Welsh comeback, and Scotland will give you points. And well, they've had some good defensive performances, but I just think they're going to be nervous, and I think Wales are in the game. But yeah, and they've covered it the last 2 games as well by quite a bit. So I'm not worried about this line. I like this number.
Right now, Chris, let's go with your second trivia question. What have you got for us? And I want you to think carefully about the answer this time. I don't want to give the card away and have to take it back.
Guys,
no ambiguous answers.
Yes, I was getting my questions. I looked at the wrong page as where I was getting the info, and so I apologize. I read the wrong paragraph. So let's keep it on a bit of a South African theme. The match day squad of Scotland on the weekend against England. How many players were born out of Scotland or were not born in Scotland on the match day?
Not necessarily in South Africa, but not in Scotland.
International. How many players were not born in Scotland on Saturdays?
And just before we get into the last game, we're going to give away a R1,000 POKERBET voucher. This is not for the live chat. This is for below the YouTube. And we are going out on the Oracle's YouTube channel, which hasn't been in action for quite a while. So behind either channel, we'll compare notes. The person who gets the closest, we're looking for the Ireland v France game. How many points, who will win by how many points, and then how many total points in the game. Put that below the YouTube channel. We don't have to put that in the live chat now. We'll come back to your trivia question in just a sec, Chris, but we've got one last game to talk about. That, of course, is England up against Italy. I thought this game would be closer to 15.5. That's where I handicapped it, minus 15.5. It opened at 20, and it's nudged inwards. It's come to 19.5. But essentially, it looks like this is more or less where it's going to start. And now, Chris, last week, England they were disappointing. They were outplayed by the Scottish side. Italy played above themselves against France. And the thing is now, did they almost, as we always say, that they played their big game last week? Are they in for a hiding? Or do you think we can get on the plus here?
Very interesting. Again, so if this was a year ago, I'd say England are winning this by 24 easily. But I'm not, like as people know, I'm not a big Italy punter. For rare occasion, I punted on the plus at the halftime last week. And this is just a typical spot for England to be England and come back and put Italy away by 30. They've done this many times before, and I can see that happening. But I must be honest, I see something in Italy that can frustrate England, and I haven't seen enough from England to say that they're going to blow them away. But again, this is all this rugby where you watch this over the years and years and years. It's not inconceivable that England come do their thing. But I think it's also very important what team he selects, because if I've talked about this all week and stuff, but if he's going to keep the same backline access of Smith and Farrell, they're going to still. I don't think they're going to. Maybe they click next week, but on the weekend. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I actually really want to see the England team. I mean, he's made Farrell captain. He's really got to decide, right? Like either this is it or the World Cup soon. I mean, he moaned about Eddie Jones's issues, but I didn't see anything different on the weekend that Eddie Jones wasn't doing with that English side. So I'm waiting for this now. So I want to see the team. If you want to ask, as you can see, I'm waffling. I'm sitting on the fence because, as I said, I can see an England 25-point win, and I can see a 12-point Italy grinding it out and giving England some trouble. My initial gut was a 12.14 gap, and that's the one I like to back. So then it would be the Italy plus. But you know what I might be interested in looking there is the Italy points. Italy, maybe not all the time against England, but I think Italy, this English defense isn't that great. I think Italy have 2 tries in this match in them. So I think maybe the angle I'll start to look at is Italy points.
Yeah, I must say, Italy points got me into profit on the weekend against France. I think it was first Southpaw and then Thoughts on Sports, almost simultaneously on the Good for the Game forum place. They went over 14.5. I missed that price. I got 15.5. Trotted up comfortably. I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. Italy certainly far more attacking than any Italian side. Italy used to frustrate teams, but by frustrate, I mean just slow the game down and try. Now they can frustrate teams by actually scoring tries against them and playing good rugby. So I think we're in for a cracking game on that one. Oracle, what are your thoughts on this one? It's a big cap. Which way are you coming down?
Sorry, Brent. I'm looking on the screen here, and I'm not seeing a board price. I'm just seeing minus 19.5. I'm going to tell you Italy can win this game.
I'll get you a board price.
Italy can win this game, and it's because England are probably going into this game thinking, all right, we stuffed around last week. We can do better than that. Yeah, sure, we can win this game by 50. And can they win by 50? Of course they can. I don't think they will. So I'm going to suggest here, you want to have a bet and watch this game and really be involved without too much risk. I'm going to say take the 1-7, England 1-7, take the draw and take an Italy win. Go for a close result because I'm expecting it to be close. And if you've got a couple of coins left over, take England to win by 25 or more or 30 or more. Because if I get it wrong, it's going to be wrong the other way. I don't see this game being 20. I don't see it being 15. I don't even see it being 10. I think this is going to be dealt by a couple of points, very close, right onto a kick at the end of the game, or it's going to be a blowout and Italy have been a bit punch drunk after their very close result last week. And I know when teams get very close and they fail, it often is a harder blow than if they just, if they got smashed. So I think Italy, especially in the second half, they were in that game. They could have won, and they didn't. And that might be really, really hard for them to go back into the change room and to deal with it. But listen, as Chris said earlier, what are we talking about? 30-something games without a win. So they used to losing. It's like the Lions in 2010. They just lost and lost and lost. So yeah, I'm a Italy board punter here. I think the game will be a bit closer. And of course, at those prices, and I'm expecting something close to 10-1 here or 8-1.
Yep,
I don't have to put a lot of money down.
9-1. I think you can get 10.
Yeah, I don't. It's one of those games where I don't want to risk it at the 19 because I don't know which way it's going to go, and I don't want to flip a coin on this game. I'd rather have a small stake on a big price and go for it. And I'm going to be backing Italy to win the game and a little bit of a stake on the 1-7 or a closer, a nice plus, like a plus 7 or plus 8. Italy at a decent price. That's where I'd go here. Yeah, England didn't impress me.
Yeah, no, they certainly weren't impressive there. But I hear what Chris is saying as well. They are the sort of side who, like, they came out in Japan in the November internationals. They didn't look particularly good, and then they came and gave Japan. There's certain teams that England can just get on top of, and Italy do strike me potentially as one of those teams. Just interesting, Chris, you mentioned Owen Farrell. Now, this is coming from a guy years ago. If you asked me, who's your first player in a world team, I would have put Owen Farrell down because I rated him as a great player, and I rated him as the best player in rugby. And I don't think he's either at the moment. And I'll go so far as to say that I think England have to make hard decisions, and I think England have to get rid of Farrell before the World Cup. I'm not saying he's not that bad, but I just think he doesn't have that flow in him, and he doesn't do much in the game where you think afterwards, wow, that was incredible. Yeah. He's solid, but England needs something more. England needs something more.
That's always been my point. I know people. That's what I say about Farrell. Yes, he does his job and he's got this leadership and he makes his tackles. But for me, look at that last try, that Scotland's winning try, the impact Finn Russell made in the try. He started it in the 22 and he made 2 brilliant passes when he needed. He was involved and he made that whole thing happen. You just don't see Farrell take England and march them down the field to win a game. Like the way you think. I know he's not. People say he's not that type of player, but the way they talk about him, you think he's better. If he's better than Marcus Smith and walks on water, then I actually want to see that from him, but I don't see that. I agree. For me, and I do respect him. He's done it well for the game. He is a player, but for me, I'm a Marcus Smith fanboy. But I wouldn't have any issue if Borthwick just puts Farrell for 10. Go to the World Cup. Farrell's my 10. He's my captain. We go to the World. Marcus can come off the bench. He's got many World Cup. He's got a lot of time ahead of him. If you really want to because he's made him captain, so he obviously wants him in the side. But you can't have this 10-12 isn't.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You can't have. But just before I go up to Gab, because I think he's got something to add there. Very quickly, what is that number that you've got there for the Scotland International?
Yeah, it's 9. 9. Do you want to? Let me quickly. I'll quickly run this through. It's Skuman.
Yes.
Null, Van der Merwe, South Africa, Kyle Steyn.
Nobody got it right. I did 8, a 5, and a 7.
But we'll give it to, I did say the closest will get it. So Johan is actually the closest because Dylan's already won and we only allowed one prize per thing. So Johan, you got your voucher in the end. But carry on there, Chris.
No, I've lost the word. I've lost the list. There's Ben White and Chris Harris is England. Dempsey is Australia. And Bergen is New Zealand. And Tuapolotu, Australia. So
Right,
those are
so
the
there's
9.
plenty of variety there. We're going to get into the best bets now in just a sec, guys. But first, Gav, you got another. Have you given us only one trivia question so far? Eh? What's your? You've got a second one.
The other one's a bit of fun, and I'd really like to hear what people have to say because I'm horrified. Anyway, let's just get back to this England one and Farrell. So I'm actually hoping England pick Farrell for their World Cup squad because the bookmakers will go and make him favourite for point scorer, and I'm going to make an absolute fortune again like I did in the last World Cup. So, yeah, I'm quite excited about that. So, Farrell, just keep up the good work and make sure you're in the team because I need you there at World Cup time. Right, my next question. It's, I'm puzzled. And I think we can award the prize here, Brent, on the best answer because there's no right answer. There's no right answer to this question, but I think we could get a bit of a chuckle out of it. So those of you who've been following this SA20 cricket, I know my questions are cricket this week because I've been watching a lot of the cricket, and I'm quite excited about this tournament.
Good.
And we'll get to some rugby questions next week. But my cricket question this week is every single tournament in every single country, in all the years that we've watched cricket, if you qualify first, you get a home semi-final, and if you qualify, you get a home final. This week, SA20 managed to muddle it up properly. They had Joburg playing in Pretoria and Pretoria playing in Joburg. So I actually want to know why that happened. And my answer is because they effing idiots. And I did say effing because I could have said whatever I wanted to do. But I really want a proper answer that's going to make us chuckle. And you will win the prize if you make us chuckle. Because I don't think there's actually an answer. I think nobody knew what they were doing. And they just sort of decided some stupid answer. But the reality is it's taken away home fans from semi-finals. And I just think it's ridiculous. This semi-final tonight and last night, they were great. But you missed that home fan bit of it.
Can I ask a question, Gav? I want to ask a question of you, and I'm interested to see if any guys come in and comment on that because I've got a bit of a theory on it myself. But this franchise thing now, are people genuinely supporting the franchise? Or by that I mean you've got guys who from Pretoria playing for the Cape Town. I love the concept. Make sure this has got me back into cricket. I haven't watched cricket in ages.
Me too.
Absolutely love the tournaments. I'm not having a go at the tournament by any means. I think it's great. But what I'm saying is, like, if my son wants to go to the cricket, does he really mind if he's not watching the Johannesburg Super Kings and he's going to watch the Pretoria Capitals in the final? So that's my question to you. Has it got that loyalty fan base? And maybe it does. But what I'm saying is, because to me, half the guys who are playing, and I love it when Sean Pollock goes, it's the home team, they should know conditions. And half the guys have never seen Centurion Park in their life before they played the game for the first time for the Capitals.
I agree. And I also think they're handing out caps and they're handing out shirts because I got to believe that I think I counted, well, just mentally, there were a couple of hundred shirts in one of those first games. And I thought to myself, those people didn't buy those. They were handed them out. But it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The Indians have chucked a lot of money at this, and that's why we have the names that we have. And, good luck to them. They've put a couple of commentators in and people speaking. And apparently it's massive in India. They're all watching it. So these guys have made a profit out of their sponsorship. And that's really what it's all about. And, I just... when I watched the Wanderers, I said to my wife, I was a security guard at the Wanderers when I was 16, 17, and 18 years old. I used to run onto the field and grab the wicket before the fans did. And I met Graham Pollock's daughter, and I used to, I must have gone to the Wanderers, I don't know, nearly 1,000 times. I suppose not 1,000, a few hundred times. And I lived there between the ages of 12 and sort of 20. And I loved that stadium, and it was just down the road from where I lived. And I just loved going to cricket, especially night cricket. And I know a lot of my mates used to go with me. We saw all sorts of people playing. And I think you're right. I don't know that everybody knows who everybody is. It's about a color. You're picking a color. It's yellow, blue, orange, whatever it is. And that's the team you're shouting for. And who's our team? That's who it is. But, you know what? The answer I heard, the official answer I heard as to why they've done this, which I think is a load of absolute bollocks, is they said it's because the women's T20 competition was happening in South Africa. And I think to myself, if you're going to have an opening weekend, first of all, as much as I enjoy women's cricket, I don't think we're going to get much more than about 5,000 people in the stadium. I honestly think they should have put the first couple of games, knowing this weekend was semi-finals and finals, put them in Kimberley and Bloemfontein or Potchefstroom or some Pietermaritzburg, somewhere where they're not playing, and start to chuck out the games next week in stadiums that are ready for them. Don't muddle around a tournament that's successful and say, sorry, Brew, we actually penned that this game would be in Joburg because the women's games in Cape Town. I think it was a childish decision. And I think, you've heard me rant about SuperSport before. I think this is rubbish. They didn't consider the public. They didn't consider anything. East London didn't even get a game. Put a game there. Put a game in George. There's so many places you could have put women's cricket for this weekend, opening weekend, and had these teams deciding where they play afterwards. I mean, but the Pretoria in Joburg and Pretoria one really confused me. So
and
they were trying to...
Yeah, it was very strange the way it worked out. And I heard Pommy and one of the other commentators, I think it was Mark Nicholas, having that conversation. And Pommy was saying, it's not too late to change it. He said, change it. Just switch it around because now they 1 and 2. Exactly. You would never know. And then Mark was making the point that, obviously the guys in third and fourth might have a problem with that. So I agree it didn't work out well. And I can't really argue with you on that one. But at the end of the day, what a resounding success the competition is.
Absolutely. It will be 10 of them. They'll come. They'll come every year and they'll carry on.
Yeah. So we're saying you ask him why. Like, I must have been having following South African local cricket for a while, but I think South African public's been starved of something like this, right, for a long, long time. So you've seen quality plays, not seen the problem with the quota systems. That pathetic tournament in Potchefstroom end of last year. What the hell was that? I mean, look at the quality of that compared to this. So I think people are just happy to see good cricket in front of them, And like you say, sat there and went, oh yeah, let's do all of this and we'll have neutral grounds at the end. Like who sat there and went, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Maybe they didn't actually expect the success because it looks like they might not have.
I mean, I tell you what the other thing is that, Betway, on all the advertising, they've obviously been selling tickets for the final for a long time. And you can only do that if you know where the venue is, obviously. So, and if I look at like the Heineken Champions Cup, the final's in Dublin. Doesn't matter if Leinster don't make the final or whatever. It is there. So it's not. I'm not saying it happens in cricket, but it happens in sports tournaments around the world. The European, what's the UEFA Champions League? That final is already set before the season starts.
Brent, you're right. You're right. That's probably what they were trying to do, but that's also stupid because we're not like that in South Africa. I'm not going to get in a plane and go and jump somewhere to go and watch a cricket game. I watch it on TV. My couch is better. The fridge is right here. I've got the control in my hand. I mean, you want me to go to the ground, it's got to be the one around the corner from me. I'm not paying money to get on a plane or a bus or stay at someone else's house to go watch a game. That's crazy. So the team that gets the home ground, they'll fill it up if they do their marketing properly. So don't try and market a final, 6 weeks in advance. That's crazy. I was just going to say, listen, be strong, Dylan, and whatever. Give us some answers that are going to make us chuckle, and that's what's going to win the prize. I've seen all of this stuff, and you're all right. I'm not saying you're wrong. Make us laugh. Give us a proper reason.
I don't know how they're going to make us laugh on that one. But guys, let's because I've got poker in a few minutes. No, I'm only kidding. Let's go around to the best bets now. I think we've gone through all the trivia questions. Remember, there's the competition that we'll have below the YouTube channel as well. Let's get on to the best bets for the weekend because anyone tuning in late after the cricket, and I think we had a few guys tuning in late because obviously they were watching the cricket, would have thought we had a cricket show, and it was great to chat the cricket. In fact, I was very tempted to do a show or to do previews on the cricket because it really has captured my imagination. But let's get into best bets. Chris, what are your best bets for the weekend?
Yeah, awesome games coming up. The two that stand out to me at the moment, the strongest is the France plus handicap and the over 43 in the Scots game. Those are my two strongest. And then, like I said, I do like Wales to come give Scotland a game. So the plus there is under those two.
Okay, so we've got your best bets there. Oracle, let's get to yours.
Ireland minus is my best bet, Brent. And this the Scotland minus as well. Sorry, Ireland minus and Scotland minus.
Okay,
and then to close off the treble, no, I'll tell you this. Take you want a proper price here, go Ireland by -9, so 10 or more. Scotland by -9, so do both double digits, and Italy on the board. That should give you, let's work that out, probably close to 100 to 1. That's the bet. Put a 10 on it.
Bet responsibly, everyone. Bet responsibly.
No houses there. No, don't do your salary and your granny's pension. No, that's a tenner or a 20-year. I remember when I first arrived in England, I said, "What's this?" He says, "A $5." So what's that? He says, "tenner." So what's that? He says, "A score." So what do you call a 50? He says, "I don't know. I've never seen one before."
Dylan just mentioning Johan's treble. So let's go through that quickly. France plus 5.5, over 43.5 in Scotland, and Italy plus 9.5. That's at just under 6 to 1.
My best bet's nice, Johan. Good luck, mate.
I'm in agreement with Chris there.
Well,
my best bet, of course, will be going out tomorrow morning. We've had a couple of we had a close week with the Sharks 2 weeks ago, and we've managed to get onto, I don't want to call it a winning streak because it's only 2 weeks in a row so far. But let's hope we can have another win. If you aren't subscribed to the newsletter yet, go down below the YouTube show. That is if you're watching it on the Good for Game channel. If you're on Oracle's channel, you'll have to go and have a look for me on Twitter. And you can subscribe to that, and you'll find out what my best bet is. But thanks to all the boys who contributed in the live chat. I think we did miss a few to the cricket tonight, and possibly some of them watching Cyril. No, I don't think many of them would have watched that. And, JP actually just mentioned here, probably knew the circus in Parliament was in Cape Town. Good decision to take the cricket far up north. Yeah, I like
JP. I'm going to tell you, JP, straight away, that is the winning one right now. I love that. I think that's a winner. So if somebody comes up with something better than that, you're going to be the winner.
Right. Well, JP looking good there for that one. We'll confirm the prizes, but JP could get himself a voucher. Be strong coming in there as well. So guys in the live chat, thanks a lot. And then to my guests, good chatting to you. Talking cricket, talking rugby. Oracle, what have you got planned for the weekend? I know you love your horses. You got anything for us?
No, I haven't looked at the racing for the weekend, but I'm definitely interested in this final. And having punted both of these, Pretoria, I was a bit disappointed. Sorry, one last thing on the cricket. Pretoria sort of did a bit of match fixing, I'm going to suggest, with some inflated fingers there, allowing the pole team to arrive in the semi-final. I think that was a bit dodgy. They couldn't win the game, and they sort of stuffed around. And I know that they could argue and say they were trying to play a couple of players that were, test them out in the situation. I didn't like what I saw on 2 nights ago. I'm going to say this Eastern Cape team will put them away. I just like the way they played tonight, and I know they've come off a couple of losses. But I like the Eastern Cape team, the Sunrisers, and I think that you'll probably get around 12 to 14 to 10 about them. And I think that anything over even money is value. And I'm definitely going to be watching that game. Obviously, the rugby as well and the racing. But, yeah, my bet for the weekend with a decent bit of value here is the Sunrisers to lift this trophy. I think they win it, and they win it. I think they win it quite well.
Yeah, I also like them. I do feel the Capitals have lost the edge just a bit in recent weeks. But thanks, Gavin. Thanks, Chris. Great to have you on the show again, mate. And hopefully I'll start seeing some of your tweets again.
Yeah, please. That'll be nice. I miss chatting to you there. So, yeah, it'll be nice.
Just remember to tag me on your best bets and that, then I'll retweet for you. Excellent, guys. Thanks very much. We'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat.
Cheers, Oracle.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers.